One. Good evening and welcome to Late Night Hype's Staff Spotlight Series. In this very special series, we have casual conversations with alums, staff, and faculty sharing their career journey and college experience. Now, before I introduce today's guest, here are some very important updates. Now, please remember that while Late Night Hype focuses on higher education, we're in no way affiliated with any college, technical school, or university. But here at Late Night Hype, we do encourage all of our listeners to reach higher. And we want you to weigh in, Hype Squad. Just use our name, hashtag Late Night Hype, best night with a K, and subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Now, as a reminder, Late Night Hype is a webcast that educates, empowers, and entertains the college community. A new episode is available every Tuesday on YouTube, and our Staff Spotlight series is available every other Saturday and will conclude at the end of summer 2020. All right, y'all, you know what time it is. It's time to introduce today's guest, a very special woman that we have today from my undergraduate alma mater. Today's guest is Miss Shaquala Ford.
Hello.
A&M University Commerce and also an initiate of the Theta Nu chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Hello and welcome to the show for the very first time.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your Saturday to come on the show. And of course, I don't want to try to introduce you as much as you can probably introduce yourself. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself and, of course, your alma mater.
Okay. Well, first, thank you, Patricia, for having me on the show. Patricia is being modest. We're line sisters, so that's how we met in college. We're both initiates of Theta Nu chapter, the best chapter. Okay. But let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Shaquala Ford, and I'm currently an educator. I've been in education for 6 years now, and I didn't start in education, but I knew that education was the route that I wanted to go. I just kind of took a detour. I majored in business when I was at Texas A&M Commerce, and I was in the corporate America for about 8 years, and then I decided to transition into education. My educational journey began in 2012 when me and my sister started our tutoring business, a mobile tutoring business focused on K through 8 ELA literacy. And so that's kind of how my journey began in education, but I didn't officially start teaching until 2014.
Now, you kind of talked a little bit about being in corporate America, so I do want to go back there and talk a little bit about that. But you grew up in Texas as well. You was born and raised. What was it like sort of transitioning out of that corporate America world and then getting into the teaching world? Was it a hard transition?
I think more so it was a hard transition financially, because in corporate America, I was making money. I was in the mortgage industry. And so I think initially that was the mind frame. But once I really understood what an educator was and understood that it was my passion, I took passion over finances. And so once I realized that education was like really what I was passionate about, it was an easy transition for me to leave my job. And I actually resigned like right before spring break of 2014. And I literally got a full-time sub position within like 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And so I knew that I had made the right decision because literally when I quit my job, I didn't necessarily have a teaching job, but I got a full-time, a long-term sub position.
Okay.
Immediately.
That's what's up. So you're living, of course, in Texas, but where did you grow up in Texas? And then what was it like growing up there?
Okay, so I grew up in West Dallas, and I'm a proud member of the West Dallas community. I grew up there. It was a village. Like when they say it takes a village to raise, I'm definitely excited, or I'm definitely grateful for that village. I went to an elementary in the community. We only had one middle school in our community. So most of us, it was like 4 elementary schools within our community. But then once we merged to middle school, we went to middle school together. And then we had one high school, with LG Pinkston. I'm a graduate of LG Pinkston High School, class of 2004. And it was just an exciting time to build community. Like I said, most of us grew up together. We went to school together. We went to church together. I give props to the West Dallas Community Center. That was an active participant in my upbringing. It exposed me and gave me so many experiences that I wouldn't have never experienced, like just growing up in West Dallas, because West Dallas would be considered a poverty-stricken community. And although I didn't know about resilience when I was, younger, that I know that just growing up in West Dallas and just some of the choices and decisions that I made throughout my life, I was resilient.
Okay. Well, resilience is very important. Shout out to you for that. You talked a little bit about being involved, and I want to talk about your involvement in college, but I want to kind of go back to your involvement in your community growing up in K through 12. What were you involved in K through 12, and did it influence your decision to attend college?
Definitely. So, my mom didn't go to college. My daddy went to, some years of college, but he didn't finish. So, my grandparents didn't go to college, but it's something that they wanted for us. So, my grandparents was a major influence in my life. My mom was a single mom raising three girls. She worked a lot. So, again, my community, my aunts, my uncles, the West Dallas Community Center, Voice of Hope Ministries, Young Life. Why it's so many, it was so many opportunities for us in our community that just kind of poured into us to just make sure that we made the right decision. Just gave us a positive outlet. Because I know, like I said, growing up, people wouldn't think, but growing up, my childhood, I witnessed abuse. I wasn't physically abused per se, but I witnessed my mom being in an abusive relationship. And so when you saw me at school, you wouldn't know that I was going through anything because, again, the village. Like my teachers didn't know, but just they poured into me. Going to school was a safe haven. It was just a positive environment for me, and I just enjoyed going to school every day. I enjoyed learning. I mean, we had the best teachers in West Dallas.
I think that that is such a that's a powerful thing to say that you came from a community that really did help to kind of move you into the direction of making positive decisions. In spite of the fact that nobody's perfect, yes, but the fact that your outcome ultimately led to you getting your college degree. And so now that's a good transition and a segue into my next question. So, of course, you were involved in your K through 12, but what about in college? What inspired you to get involved in some of the organizations you were involved in, and what were some of those organizations?
Okay, so let me piggyback. So when I was in high school, I was a part of Voice of Hope Ministry, and although it was an organization that poured into us, pretty much gave us a Christian foundation. Younger, I was able to be a scout leader my junior and senior year, and so just
What is
being in that a scout leader is pretty much just like a teenage leader. And we pretty much kind of help with the younger students in the camp. It was a summer camp that they did every summer. And so I was able to be a scout leader my junior and senior year. So that was something that I was involved in. I got volunteer hours. And again, like I said, it exposed me to young life. So I was able to go outside of Texas. So my first time ever going out of town was in those, with those organizations. It wasn't like family vacations.
Yeah.
So it just really exposed me and it gave me so many experiences outside of my community. Um, like never been outside of Fort Worth, Dallas, the Dallas area. So going to Fort Worth was an adventure because again, I had never been outside of my city limits. So those organizations really exposed me and gave me a lot of life experiences. To piggyback, when me and my sister was in sixth grade, we actually got the opportunity to go to Washington D.C. My mom had never been on a plane before, and just with academics, just given the opportunity to again to experience something that I might not got to experience again just because of the dedicated educators in our community. So with college, when I got to college, college was different. I knew that I wanted to go to college, but I still, it was still like some kind of doubts because again, nobody in my family had ever been to college. But I knew I wanted to make my family proud. I knew it was something that I wanted to do because I knew it was something that my family, especially my grandparents, I knew it would have been a joy for me to complete college. I knew that I wanted to be in a sorority when I got to college because, again, I had some outstanding teachers that's just model excellence. Of course, I had Sigma Gamma Rho, aka Delta teachers. So I had so many teachers that was a part of these Black Greek sororities, and so
Yeah.
I knew that that was something that I wanted to do. But what set Delta Sigma Theta apart, and I knew that that's the route I wanted to go because immediately they were active on campus. I remember them doing the voter registration drive. Like everywhere I looked, the Deltas was doing was involved, and I was like, this is what I experienced in I was involved in a lot in high school, and I was like, this it was an easy transition for me to want to join a sorority because I knew that they were about their business, they were action oriented, and they were just building the commerce community.
Yeah, yeah. I think that that speaks volumes as well, to be able to recognize a organization like Delta Sigma Theta, as well as Sigma Gamma Rho, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Zeta Phi Beta, all of those sororities, and women who were empowering, their communities as well. And then Delta definitely stuck out to you so much so that you joined the Theta
Yes.
Delta Sigma.
My cheerleading coach in high school, and she was I would definitely consider her a mentor, but she was a Delta, and she was a major influence in my life in high school. So I mean, it was just so many dynamic women that I had the pleasure of experiencing, and so I'm just excited for my future because of those women, or just because of my community in general.
Now, you talk a little bit about women who basically had this positive impact on your life. How important do you think mentorship is to young women, and more specifically, young Black women?
I definitely think mentorship is important, but I think mentorship can come in so many opportunities because I know I've been mentored through a book. I've been mentored through a video.
Okay.
But I think having a mentor is so important. But one thing I learned as I got older, because I've had a lot of opportunities, and I can honestly say sometimes I didn't take advantage because I really didn't understand the relationship about mentorship. But one thing I know now, as I'm progressing in age or in life, is that you have to know what you want, and you have to know your goals. And then once you reach out to a mentor, you can't expect a mentor to do everything. Like, you have to know what you want, you have to know those goals, and like, you pretty much kind of help dictate that relationship. You can't expect the mentor to do everything. And I think that was a false sense of mentorship that I had growing up. But now that I'm older, I truly understand what it means to have a mentor, and the importance of mentorship.
And I love what you said. That was powerful. You said that a book can be a mentor. You know what I'm saying? You can watch a video, and that kind of can serve as a mentor for you. I think that that is powerful. And I do agree. I think that mentorship is very important, but it is not a one-sided thing. It really is a two-way street. And some of the strongest relationships I have, I've almost in time sometimes become, in terms of my mentors, I've sometimes been able to share with them advice and stuff that they can do in order to improve, which has been very, like, I don't know, mind blowing, because when you look up to somebody and then, finally you get to that point in your relationship, because that takes time. If you really want a good relationship, you have to have that good communication. But yeah, you get to that point to where you're sharing, and it really is
Hmm.
more of you're both mentoring each other.
Yeah, and I think that's important, like what you said, like even just women in general, but Black women in general, like, we have to be a wealth of knowledge for each other. We have to be a listening ear, and I know it's very important. I know this summer I did a really good job of just connecting with people that are like-minded, and we're just kind of sticking together and pouring into each other and sharing resources, and just being that support, because again, we have to help each other. We have to help each other.
I agree. And you've already told us a little bit about your passion for working in K through 12, but how do you think, with everything with the COVID-19, how do you think it changed the world of K through 12? Y'all may be out in the summer, but the spring semester specifically was a little bit different. So how do you think COVID has changed the world of K through 12?
I think with COVID-19, it pretty much showed us that anything we do, we can do it virtually.
Ooh,
Anything that we thought that couldn't be virtual possible, I think that we can do it. I think for education, though, the kids need the social interactions. So I do think that, us transitioning, it was an easy transition for me, number one, because our district, or my campus, was one-to-one. But again, we can go into all these details of kids, there's not equity in education. You have some schools or some students that don't even have access to technology every single day or every class period. And so I think that's something that was brought up with COVID-19, just not having access to those resources, and some schools having access to those resources. But I do think that it has impacted. But if we have to continue with this virtual, I think as a K through 12 institution, we have to find a way to make school as normal as possible for our students. We still have to find a way to kind of engage them. I know even for me, it was kind of hard because I was already used to having a blended learning. So my students was used to the model that we created when we went totally virtually. But some of my students didn't want to turn on their video. Sometimes they would, it was just like just not having that daily interaction, seeing my students, you can tell as a teacher when your student is going through something. And so just not having that interaction with my students on a daily basis, like seeing them, I think that was the hardest part. And I do know that my students miss their friends.
Yeah, and miss being in person in a new
Hmm.
environment where it's, you know, school. That's what they
Yeah.
used to. But it sounds
And
like
I,
you're doing some. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I don't think any of us knew that when we left after spring break, but that we would never return back to school. I think, we went into a mind frame. We know it, I knew it was a global pandemic. A lot of people, of course, spring break is a lot of times where teachers are looking forward to it, but I know that we didn't foresee us not entering the buildings to finish out the school year.
um, I feel like a lot of K-12 individuals have, responded that way, or just some of the people I follow on Instagram who are in the K-12, they was packing up their offices, making comments about, I just didn't think that this was the way the school year would end. And even me, I work in higher education, and I thought that I would have a chance to say goodbye to some of my seniors that have been there for like a long time who graduated. Graduation looked different to those seniors, whether in college or high school or sixth grade graduation, whatever the graduation was, that looked different. But there was some very creative, universities, schools, students as well, who either found, the best way to either celebrate, graduate, doing parades. So there are some workarounds,
Mhm.
and although it looks different, it can still be a celebration.
Yep. That's one thing. Our school did do a parade for our students. But one thing that I wanted to do to just kind of connect with my students, of course, the last week of school was all fun and games. And I probably had about 25 students to join, most of the activities that week. But just knowing that I wasn't going to see them again, I just personally wrote a note, it was online, but I personally sent each of my students an individual note, just to end the school year on a positive note, but just to let them know that I would be thinking of them, and that I believed in them, and that I was looking forward to hearing all the amazing things that would, happen next year. Some of them may go on to some of them were going on to high school, some of them were going to algebra next year. So I just wanted to do something positive for my students because I knew that I wouldn't physically be able to see them.
I think that that's sweet, but I think that also goes to show that you are not only a educator, but you're there, and it really is from the heart. It really is a passion for you, and you love the people part of it as well. So
Yes.
you probably said this, but what grade do you teach, or where are you in terms of that K-12?
Okay, so when I originally began my educational journey, I did 2 years in middle school, and then I transitioned to, 2 years in elementary, and then I transitioned to middle school. And so originally I thought that I wanted to be an elementary teacher, but once I got to middle school, it was just something about middle school that made me want to stay because, like my first group of students that I taught in fifth grade, they were totally different students in middle school. And I'm like, okay, what happens when they transition from elementary to middle? And I'm like, these are critical years. This is a critical grade. And that's one of the reasons why I stayed, because I knew that it was a critical time in their lives. And I know that I wanted to be a positive influence on my students daily. And so middle school is where I'm at, and middle school has my heart right now.
First off, I will admit to you that I did this outreach program where we went with fifth graders through a local theater. We did a play with them, and I initially just thought to myself, like, I could never work in K-12. Like, K-12 is a challenge. I do think that it's definitely some challenges in K-12 that doesn't exist in higher ed. Just for all these different purposes and reasons. But I worked with fifth graders for about a year and a half, doing this outreach program over two counties, Escambia and Santa Rosa. And when I tell you, Shaquala, I loved
Mhm.
it. Like, I loved it. So I realized that it really is a crucial age. And I feel like specifically middle school, but a little bit of fifth grade,
Mhm.
up until I'd say eighth grade as well, but mainly seventh grade. I feel like fifth, sixth, and seventh, you have students that want to do things. They want to explore. They want to learn. Like, they really are the sponges. and not like the elementary students fun, just really just like the I want to grow, I want to get better, I want to learn, and I want to master certain crafts, because they have the time to do it.
Hmm. But I think the key though is to keep that momentum, because I can say when I taught fifth grade, they had, that the kids wanted to learn, they enjoyed learning. But I think when they go transition to middle school, even though middle school teachers are not elementary teachers, like you still have to have that mindset to engage the students in, because middle school can be a little different because it could be the first year that they're transitioning from class to class. And I
Yeah.
don't think we take that into consideration at times because they're leaving elementary where they may have been with this teacher every day, the same teacher, and then they're transitioning to middle school. And I think as a middle school teacher, we have to take all of that into consideration when they come to us. They're still babies, even though they're middle school. They want to be grown, they want to be treated with respect, but they're still, in a sense, they're still
Young.
kids.
Yeah.
And so, and I can honestly say my students this year, they enjoyed. Of course, I always do things to motivate my students, because I do believe in working hard as well, but I do agree with rewarding my students. And so my students were always excited to come to my class because they knew that we were going to have fun. It was going to be opportunities for them to have rewards. But you just have to make learning fun. It doesn't really matter what subject you teach.
So, what is your greatest accomplishment thus far?
To be honest, my greatest accomplishment is being an auntie.
Oh,
I love. It's so many things that I could have said, but being an auntie is really has been a joy. To be an auntie, just to be someone that they look up to, that they can come to you when they having problems. Just feel comfortable. So that's one of my greatest joys is being a TT. And
oh,
so many people call me TT, not just my biological, my god sister, it's just a joy to be TT.
I know I got a chance to meet your niece that you show off all the time on like your Instagram, and she is so sweet and so smart. Y'all came to visit actually Florida, and
Hmm.
y'all for stopping by and giving her a tour of the campus so that if she
Hmm.
go out of state for college, she knows at least what the campus down here
Oh,
is.
she knows educate. That's one thing that I tell all my nieces, like education is important. And if you choose to go to college, education is very important. If you choose to go to community college first, but I just want them to know that education will help you um as you grow, as you mature in your life.
Agree. What are some books that you can recommend to our audience so they can read during this time?
So the book that I'm reading, I don't know the full title, but I know it's called Minority Leaders, and it's by Stacey Abrams. And that's the book that I'm currently reading right now. And it's pretty much it's an awesome book because it gives you an opportunity to see someone. So this is Miss Stacey Abrams is the African American woman that ran for governor in Atlanta.
Okay.
And so she just pretty much talks about her life experiences, but of course from an African American woman's perspective. And she just talk about sometimes we have to lead from the outside because sometimes we may not have a seat at the table on the inside. So she pretty much give you tools and how to utilize your network, how to even sometimes we may have fear or doubt, but how to overcome, how to continue to overcome those fears and doubts, because there's room at the table for everybody. And it's our responsibility to help each other. It's so important to have a partnership. We can't do things by ourselves, so we have to lean on each other. So that's one of the books that I'm reading right now. I mean, she hits on so many topics. I mean, she even talk about money. We talking about K through 12. But when we think about, some of us go to college and don't even have the financial mindset that you can go to college for free and don't have to take out all the loans that they offer them. So she pretty much talks about all of those things in her book. It's a well-rounded book, but it pretty much talks about leadership. And so another book that was recommended to me that I actually read on Audible, it was called Thank You for Feedback. And it pretty much shows you how to recognize feedback in every aspect of your life. Sometimes we equate feedback to just work and evaluations and things like that, but it pretty much opens your mind to for you to take feedback well. But it also just shows you how to look at every area of your life, every relationship, and you're always getting feedback, but how do you respond to when you get that feedback?
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. It sounds like it's something that will make you a little bit more self-aware of how to accept feedback in a positive way. We'll
How to receive it well.
so you talk about being a TT. You also talked about the mentors in your life. Um, are you currently a mentor to any mentees that's not your family?
So I'm currently not a mentor. Of course, I've had, young ladies that I've supported, but I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, if you ask them, I don't know what they would say, but I wouldn't consider myself a mentor. But I will say that I'm definitely the person that if you reach out to me, I'm going to help you see the best in yourself. Like I'm going to help you. I'm going to be your thought partner. I'm going to be a positive influence in your life if you reach out to me. But uh, I wouldn't say that I personally have a mentee. But I do know that if anybody know that if they contact me, I'm gonna be there to help them.
I do agree. Anything I have asked Shay help me with, she helps me out. So I want to say thank you for that. I also want to say just thank you for your encouragement because you just have such an encouraging spirit. I think it's just natural, like for you to be that person. If you are having like a breakdown, I feel, or a meltdown, you are the kind of person that can just, validate the fact that your feelings are true, they're real, take them on. That's not a problem, but then also provide practical tools and tips in order to get through it. So thank you for that. Don't lose that ever. Um,
It's with experience, when you go through things and you trying to figure things out. Even like even like you said, we're in a pandemic. People have anxiety, and so I've just been making sure that what I consume in my mind is positive, but just pretty much having those tools when that anxiety comes. I'm learning in this season to just manage what I can control. And it's something that my sister used to teach her students back called locus of control and pretty much control you can control you have to manage what you can control. And I remember her giving her students a scenario. You may be ashamed that what kind of car your parents drive, but you can't control that. But what can control? You can control coming to school, doing your best. So when you graduate, high school, you can get whatever car you want.
yeah.
But don't focus on the things that you can't control. Focus on that locus of control. Focus on the things that you can, and that's something that my sister taught her fifth graders. And I just remember that, and I kind of try to keep that mindset when I kind of get worried or anything like that. Okay, but you can't control it, so focus on what you can control.
You talk about your sister a lot, so can you go ahead and let us know who your sister is?
Yes, I actually have more sisters, but I do have an identical twin sister. So I have a younger sister, two younger sisters, and I have a twin sister. And then I also have a brother and a sister as well. But one lives in Florida and one lives in Atlanta. And then my other sisters and brothers are live in Dallas. Well, Dallas, yeah, Dallas.
Okay, then, big family. That's nice. I also wanted to ask you one last question in regards to your leadership program. So you are a part of a leadership program, is that right?
Yeah, so this semester, I applied for this leadership cohort. It's called a Future School Leader Network. And so I applied for the cohort because I'm considering school leadership. And so a lot of times we think, you have to have a certain number of years of experience to be, a leader in a sense when it comes to school leadership. And so I wanted to join this network, number one, because I just see so many positive things that they were posted on Facebook and um, just sharing a lot of leadership style. I mean, it was just so many things they were sharing. So I started following the group on I started following the page on Facebook, and I was like, I'm gonna apply for that leadership cohort. I'm gonna apply for it. And then I just got the courage to apply, and I got in. I'm so excited because it's gonna again help me expand my network. It's gonna give me an opportunity to be around other like-minded people that's pursuing leadership.
How long is the program?
It's a year program.
Okay, so you'll graduate. Is it like a program that you actually
It's
graduate from?
It's not necessarily a program that you graduate. It's pretty much like a cohort. So it's a nonprofit. Dr. Tracy Brown is the founder, and she's a superintendent in Arlington, assistant superintendent in Arlington School District, but it's not associated with, Arlington ISD is pretty much her nonprofit. She has a heart to serve and help and grow school leaders. And so I'm excited about it.
That sounds so cool. I love nonprofits, and you also have a nonprofit with your sister that you kind of glaze. Excuse me, you have a for-profit. Excuse me, with your sister, your tutoring business that you glazed over a little bit. But can you tell us a little bit about the tutoring organization that you have and how you came about founding that?
Okay. So we founded the tutoring business in 2012, and originally we had all of these ideas of what we wanted to do. So we piloted like a summer camp with some of our family and a few friends, and we piloted a summer camp, and it was kind of, with both of us working full time, it wasn't really feasible with our schedule. So then we decided to do a mobile tutoring business. So when we say mobile, either we come to you or you come to our location. And we originally, I guess our focus would be literacy, but we're open to, other subjects. We've tutored up into high school, and we say K-8, but literally we've tutored students from 6th grade to 12th grade.
Wow.
And we really didn't do a lot of marketing. Again, it's pretty much been word of mouth. Friends referring us. But pretty much we started because we wanted to do something to give back to our community. So we initially, it's a for-profit business, but we don't really take a profit. We normally sit down and create a budget of what our expenses are, and we decide how many scholarships we want to give back to our high school, and then that's how we determine how many clients we choose, and we kind of build our schedule that way. But the whole purpose of our tutoring business is to give scholarships back to high school seniors
That's
at, at our high school.
that's what's up. First off, thank you again for being here. Um, any parting words before we exit? Because otherwise, I'll talk to you for way too long.
Um, I would just say in this season, with everything that's going on in the world, we pretty much have to have a positive mindset. We have to look at everything, even though it may not look like what we think it should look like. We always need to just try to find a positive frame of mind and just reach out, check in. They say check in but just check in with your people and just to make sure that everyone is okay, because we all need someone in this season right now.
I agree. Thank you for that. And tell us how we can keep up with you if we would like to keep up with you.
So for educational purposes, I just kind of got into Twitter. I've heard that Twitter is like the new education. And so in February, I started a Twitter account. So my Twitter is at Ford Shaquala. So you can follow me on Twitter, just see some of the things that I'm doing with my students or see some of the awesome things other educators are doing. In education. Like I said, we are uncertain about what the school year is going to look like, and so there's a lot of resources out there, and that's available for educators. So check that out. And then as far as our tutoring business, so our business name is Jumelle Enterprise. So you can find it's Jumelle_Enterprise on Instagram, and then our Twitter account is at Ford Sisters, and that's FORDSISTAHS.
I love it. Thank you again. And before I let you go, we got to play a game.
Okay.
So the name of this game is Never Have I Ever. And the way I kind of play it is a little bit different than probably what you're supposed to. It's basically, I will give you a little bit of like a sentence of something. You have to say whether you've done it or not. If you have done it though, and it's not a never have I ever, I need you to tell me the story. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Ronnie, we ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
Have you ever had a crush? This is a college now. This is college when you're in college. Have you ever had a crush on a professor?
No.
Good for you. Okay. Have you ever took a road trip with your friends in college?
Yes. So I've taken many road trips. I think my favorite road trip was to Grambling University, and when we went to
Louisiana?
yes, when we went to Grambling, and then I can't think of the college, but we went to in Arkansas.
Okay.
Remember, we went on a road trip to Arkansas.
Okay. All right. So your favorite though was the one in Arkansas or the one in
No, I'm
Louisiana?
saying both of those. Like those are the two ones that I can. Like I can't even think of the college right now. I feel so bad. But it was. We had a good time. But I know when we went to Gremlin, that was one of the best road trips as well.
Okay, that's what's up. And then have you ever failed an exam?
No. And I can say that with confidence because again, having a twin sister, we were very competitive growing up. And
What?
so, yes, so I can confidently. Oh, I take that back. When you so exam. So my first time taking my teacher exam, I did not pass.
Oh wow. Your teacher
So yeah,
certification to teaching.
yes. So the content test. So the first test that I took, I did not pass, and I was so devastated. But again, thankful for my sister, just with her encouragement, and I took it again, and I passed it.
That tutoring business come in handy even when it
So
comes
yeah.
even when it's coming through for y'all. Okay.
I had to think about that. I was thinking about school, but then I think about, oh, I didn't pass my teacher certification the first time. No, I didn't.
Well, thank you for sharing that part too, because I think, many students have aspirations after college that require you to take an exam. You still have to prove yourself, even though, yes, you've proven yourself through the curriculum, you've gotten, basically the degree. It's like, okay, no, but you got to pass the certification. You got to pass,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to go to law school, you got to go to LSAT. You got to go to the MCAT if you want to go to medical school. I mean, it's just so many sometimes additional steps that you have to take in order to get your goal, even
Yeah.
after your degree.
I'm glad I thought about that. So, because, some people watch that video and be like, shit. And I'm like, yep, I did. I didn't pass my test the first
Well,
time.
thank you for sharing
So.
that. Everybody don't want to tell everybody that they, some of the things that we had to struggle with. But I think sometimes our struggles is what makes us more relatable to people because they realize, oh my gosh, like she's a teacher right now. She didn't pass certain things on her first go round, but she's still doing what she needs to
Mm-hmm.
and following her passion.
Yeah.
Um, have you ever overslept for an important meeting?
Have I ever overslept? No, because if you think about the traditional, school setting or work environment, most of your meetings are within the workday. So
Yeah.
I can't think of any meetings, and even with working from home, I don't think I can't think of any.
Final one. Have you ever skipped class for the wrong reason?
Ooh, yes, and oh my goodness, when I was in high school, I tried this. And I'm saying trying. I tried to skip school, and I thought I got away with it because my sister, that's my best friend. I knew she wasn't gonna tell on me. But I caught the bus in front, our high school was behind a shopping center. So I caught the bus at the shopping center going where I was going, and I was gone the whole day. And I came back like I had been I came back around the time school let out. I came back like I had been to school all day. And so my uncle called my grandma, and then when I got home, my grandma say, "You been at school?" "Yes, ma'am, I've been at school." "You sure?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Who?" And then someone again, when you said it takes a village, I ain't gonna say his name, but a pastor saw me and told on me. He saw me at the bus stop, and he told, and no, I'll take it. It was my goddad. He told on me, okay, and I never tried to skip school again, okay.
Well, good for
'Cause
you.
I
I think
never tried to skip school again because you never know who that I realized in that moment that you never know who's watching you. And I think it was a good lesson in a sense too, because again, it was something that I tried to do and I, thought I got away with it. And it was just a learning experience that, somebody's always watching.
always. That is true. Somebody is always watching. So thank you again for playing the game of never have I ever. Never
But
have I.
thank you so much for having me.
No, it's been great. And I want to say, I appreciate the fact that you are here taking time out of your, I would say busy summer schedule, but ain't y'all off for the summer?
Yeah, I'm off, but again, just doing a little professional development here and there, just kind of, I think, growth isn't so important. So
What do
just
teachers
taking.
do over the summer?
So it's a lot of opportunities for educators. You can do summer school. We're still doing summer school. Students still have to be educated. So their summer school some school districts are doing in person and virtual. So you have summer school that's going on. Again, a lot of teachers, if you are most districts embed your professional development within the school year. Some districts don't. So some teachers take the summer as an opportunity to do all that professional development during the summer, so they don't have to do it, during the school year. Again, it depends on your district. But I always utilize the summer to reflect. I'm really big on reflection. I always have my students to do a survey at the end of the year, either write a letter telling me how their experience was in my class, or writing a letter to another student that may be coming to my class, or what a survey But I just kind of always get that feedback, and I use that to just kind of reflect to make the next year better. Like, because again, I want to be an awesome educator, but I also want to make sure that I'm making a positive impact on my students. And anytime that I have an opportunity to reflect and get feedback, it's just gonna again, it's just gonna help you grow.
It does. It only makes you better. Um, Thank you for playing the game. Thank you for answering the questions. We are about to wrap it up, all right? But you have to tell us one more time where we can find you on your social media handles.
Okay, so on Twitter it's at Ford Shaquala, and then on Instagram my business is Jumelle underscore Enterprise, and then my business Twitter is at Ford Sisters, and that's FORD SISTAHS.
Sister, you've been on my mind.
Yes, and you know why it's called Ford Sisters?
Wow.
That's kind of because Jamel. Why we chose that name? Jamel is twins in French.
Really?
Yes, Jamel means twins in French.
Okay.
So it
So,
was founded by two twins.
do you know a little bit of French?
I do not.
Francais? That's all I know. That's all I know. Parlez-vous français? That's it.
I know Jamel means twins in French.
But thank you again, Shaquala, and thank you all for your support during this transition to YouTube. We already have about 30 subscribers, and if you are not subscribed, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss a show. And also join us this upcoming Tuesday for our regular Late Night Hype episode. And thank you again, Shaquala, for being a guest on the show. Why don't you tell our audience what one of your favorite quotes is?
And so when I think about, I wouldn't necessarily say I have a favorite quote, but I believe in the growth mindset. And so it's a poster that I always have in my classroom: change your words, change your mind.
Ooh, I like that. Just simple. Change your words and change your mind. Well, remember that you can catch us weekdays every Tuesday night on YouTube and our staff spotlight series every other Saturday. Do not forget to give us your input, Hype Squad. Leave us a comment below and don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook using the social media hashtag Late Night Hype. And check out our staff spotlight series every other Saturday night this summer. Thanks again for meeting, and y'all have a fantastic night.